Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that a single forgotten penny sitting in a jar, a drawer, or the bottom of an old coffee can is secretly worth more than most people make in an entire lifetime. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today we're diving into one of the most quietly powerful coins in American history, the 1942 no-mint Mark Lincoln wheat penny. A coin so ordinary, so easily overlooked, yet capable of commanding a jaw-dropping value that has recently climbed as high as $942,000, and in some rare cases even nudged into the territory of million-dollar sales. If that doesn't make you want to check your coin stash after this video, I don't know what will. Before we go further, take a moment and think about this. How many times in life do we walk past opportunities because they look too small to matter? The 1942 penny is the perfect example of hidden wealth disguised as pocket change. And for many people, especially those searching for smarter ways to build wealth, create financial freedom, or simply cash in on forgotten treasures, the story of this coin might be the turning point they've been waiting for. The journey of this penny begins during one of the most chaotic periods in modern history. America was at war. Resources were tight. Every scrap of metal mattered. Mints were overwhelmed, production lines were shifting, and millions of coins flowed into circulation with little attention to detail. Most were common, but a few were different. A few carried mistakes, variations, and rare striking qualities that collectors today hunt with an intensity usually reserved for treasure hunters or stock traders chasing the next market breakout. And somewhere in that mix sits the 1942 no-mint Mark penny. Simple on the outside, extraordinary beneath the surface. But why this penny? Why this year? Why this specific version? Here's where the story gets interesting. During the early 1940s, the Philadelphia Mint produced enormous quantities of pennies, but subtle variations emerged. Differences in die states, errors caused by wartime pressures, and limited number anomalies that today separate ordinary from extraordinary. While the average 1942 penny might be worth a few dollars, the rarest specimens, those with the sharpest strikes, untouched surfaces, or dramatic errors, can skyrocket in value. And when I say skyrocket, I mean going from 1 cent to nearly $1 million. It's the kind of jump that makes even cryptocurrency investors go quiet for a moment. Collectors look for details most people never notice. The slightest doubling in the lettering, a razor-sharp wheat stalk, a fully original mint luster that somehow survived 8 decades, or even an early die state that reveals that the coin was struck before the dies started to wear down. And here's the twist. Many of these rare features show up in coins that everyday Americans unknowingly hold. Imagine the fear of tossing away a coin like this without knowing its worth, or the excitement of realizing you had it in your possession for years and never checked. That tiny knot in your stomach right now? That's the urge to go look through your drawers. And honestly, you should. But let's go deeper, because the story isn't just about what the coin is. It's about what it represents. Timing, rarity, and opportunity converging into one moment. The market for rare pennies is heating up faster than ever before. Collectors are pouring in, competition is rising, and high-grade pennies are setting new records almost every year. The 1942 no-mint Mark penny hitting $942,000 is just the latest signal that the demand for elite specimens is growing, and with that demand, so does the potential value. But here's something most people don't realize. Once rare coins begin attracting this level of attention, the window to take advantage doesn't stay open forever. High-value sales tend to bring waves of new collectors, and as more people search their homes for hidden treasures, the market starts shifting. Rarity tightens, prices climb, and the smartest sellers are the ones who act before the surge reaches its peak. Ever heard the phrase "fortune favors the bold"? It applies perfectly here. Still, the most powerful part of this story is not the price tag. It's the possibility, your possibility. Because coins like the 1942 penny prove that wealth doesn't always come from hustle, risk, or massive investment. Sometimes it comes from awareness, from knowledge, from understanding what others overlook. And this penny is your reminder that wealth can be hiding in plain sight. Now, let's take a closer look at what makes certain 1942 pennies worth life-changing money. First, you have the near-perfect condition examples. These are coins that somehow survived without scratches, marks, or circulation damage. Maybe they were saved in a cigar box by a veteran. Maybe a collector tucked them away decades ago. Maybe they were part of a forgotten estate. Whatever the story, these high-grade gems are the ones that fetch 6- and 7-figure prices. Then come the error coins. These are the wild cards, off-center strikes, double dies, repunch dates. Some are so scarce that collectors have waited years just to see one appear on the market. When they surface, bidding wars erupt. The kind that make you wonder whether grown adults just turned into children fighting over a toy. It happens more often than you think. But here's an emotional twist. For many sellers, finding a rare penny is more than just a financial win. It's a moment of validation, a moment of relief, a moment when all the worry about bills, retirement, or the future suddenly feels lighter. One coin, one single cent, can shift the path of someone's financial life. And that's why people aged 30 to 65 connect so deeply with stories like this. Because this isn't just collecting. It's opportunity. It's empowerment. It's the possibility of rewriting your future without lifting more than a penny. And maybe you're wondering, how likely is it to find one? Well, here's your cliffhanger. More likely than you think. Rare coins surface every single year from the most unexpected places. Yard sales, old jars, inherited boxes that nobody opened for decades, even coin rolls picked up from the bank. Yes, really, people have found high-value pennies in bank rolls. Imagine walking out with $10 in pennies and walking back in with $100,000 in value. Talk about a financial plot twist. But the real question isn't whether these coins exist. They do. The question is whether you'll be the one who discovers one, or whether someone else will beat you to the treasure hidden in your own home. Before we wrap up, there's something important you need to know. With values climbing and collectors aggressively expanding their collections, the market for rare 1942 pennies is expected to rise even further. Demand drives opportunity, and right now, we're in a moment of historic opportunity for small denomination rarity. Think of it like the calm before a storm, profitable storm, one where knowledge becomes wealth and awareness becomes advantage. So after this video, take action. Search your old jars. Check your drawers. Look through those inherited boxes that have been sitting untouched for years. You might be holding a financial miracle and not even realize it. And keep in mind, the people who uncover the greatest treasures are rarely the ones who waited, but the ones who acted. 1 penny. One chance. One moment that can change everything. And the 1942 no-mint Mark Lincoln Wheat penny might just be the moment you've been waiting for. Because at the end of the day, wealth doesn't always arrive in stacks of cash, property deeds, or investment portfolios. Sometimes, it arrives disguised as a simple copper coin made during a time of war. Quiet, overlooked, underestimated until suddenly, it isn't. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that the one small penny you tossed into a drawer decades ago could now be worth more than most homes in America. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet today, we're uncovering the truth behind one of the most quietly powerful treasures in U.S. coin history, the 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin you might have spent without a second thought could now command a jaw-dropping value of up to millions of dollars, with rare specimens reaching a current market value of $967,000. And the biggest twist? Many of these pennies are still hiding in boxes, jars, and forgotten envelopes across the country. Maybe even in your home right now. Before we dive deeper, ask yourself this: what would you do if a single penny changed your financial future? Pay off debt? Travel the world? Build a legacy? People laugh when they hear these numbers, until they realize collectors aren't laughing at all. They're buying, and they're paying big. But let's slow down for a moment, because the story behind this penny isn't just about money. It's about mystery, timing, government decisions, scarcity, and the tiny details that can turn copper into a life-changing asset. In the late 1960s, the U.S. Mint removed mint marks from coins to discourage collectors from hoarding. Ironically, that move made certain pennies, like the 1967 issue, far more desirable decades later. No mint mark, no warning, no idea they were minting future gold disguised as copper. Now, before you run to the nearest jar of coins, stay with me, because the value doesn't come from every 1967 penny. That's where most people go wrong. What separates an ordinary pocket change penny from one worth nearly $1 million comes down to small, easily overlooked factors. Exceptional preservation, rare errors, and the kind of flawless surfaces that only survive when someone unknowingly protects a coin for decades. Too many people dump out old coin collections without ever checking for these traits. And that's exactly why some collectors are cashing in quietly, while others miss out completely. Let's break this open. Picture a perfect 1967 penny. Deep red, clean luster, untouched by human hands, preserved against time itself. These pennies were minted in enormous quantities, but almost none survived at the highest grades. Most were spent, scraped, circulated, tossed into pockets with keys, rattled in ashtrays, or damaged in countless ways. We forget how rough life is on a coin. So when a pristine gem surfaces, collectors don't just want it, they fight for it. The kind of bidding war that can turn a simple 1-cent coin into a 6-figure powerhouse. And then there are the errors. The ones the mint never intended. The double-die obverse varieties, off-center strikes, and ultra-sharp full-step details that sneak through unnoticed. These mistakes, rare as they are, can inflate the price from impressive to unbelievable. Imagine finding one of these in your attic. It sounds like a fantasy, but people experience it every year. The real fear isn't missing the coin itself. It's realizing too late that you had one and let it go for $1 at a flea market. If you think this can't happen to you, let me ask you something. How many times have you sorted coins quickly, told yourself you'd check them later, and then never did? How many old jars of pennies have you ignored because they're probably worthless? That's exactly how treasure gets thrown away. And it's why so many families unknowingly give away wealth that could have transformed their lives. But stay with me, because the story gets even more compelling. While average circulated 1967 pennies might be worth a few dollars, gem-quality versions, especially vibrant red examples graded at the highest levels, can reach well over hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that $967,000 sale? That was no historical accident. That was a signal. A wake-up call to everyday Americans sitting on hidden wealth. Coins from the 60s aren't too old, not too rare, not too exotic. They're right within reach. That's the excitement and the danger, because the window for these skyrocketing values won't stay open forever. As collectors snap up the highest grade pieces and supply shrinks, prices rise. And when the top examples enter private collections, they may never hit the market again. So the real question becomes, are you prepared to recognize the right penny when you see it? Because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth nearly $1 million can be as small as a shine, a color tone, a surface detail, or a minting anomaly you'd never notice unless you knew exactly what to look for. Knowledge isn't just power here, it's profit. This is where things take a surprising turn. Many of the most valuable 1967 pennies weren't found by seasoned collectors. They were discovered by regular people. Retirees cleaning out old boxes. Families sorting coins from estates. Someone who kept a childhood coin folder, sealed for decades, only to open it and realize that what they held was the financial miracle they'd been searching for. It's almost poetic, the idea that wealth can hide in plain sight, waiting for the right moment, the right pair of eyes, the right understanding. But here's the urgency. Every day that passes, more of these rare survivors are discovered, graded, and locked away. When supply tightens, opportunity closes. You don't want to be the person who finds out about the value of these pennies only after the market peaks and collectors move on. That's the fear every smart seller must avoid. Wealth favors the prepared, not the procrastinators. And if you're still wondering whether it's worth searching through your coins, ask yourself, what's the risk? A few minutes of your time? Maybe a little patience? Compare that to the upside: financial relief, security, generational wealth. If someone told you that a winning lottery ticket might be sitting in your junk drawer, would you ignore it? Or would you check twice, maybe 3 times, just to be sure? Let's not forget the lighter side. Imagine explaining to your friends that your biggest investment return came from a penny. A penny. The jokes write themselves. But behind the humor lies a powerful truth. Sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest potential. As we approach the final stretch of the story, there's something most people never think about: The value of rare coins doesn't just come from scarcity. It comes from emotion. Collectors pay for nostalgia, for history, for the thrill of owning perfection. When a 1967 penny appears in flawless condition, it represents something almost mythical, survival against all odds. And buyers will pay dearly for that, so here's your cliffhanger moment. What if the next $1 million 1967 penny is still out there, quietly waiting in a shoebox, a safe, or a dusty jar of old change? What if it's one you already own, but haven't checked yet? And what if someone else finds theirs before you find yours? The clock is ticking. The opportunities are real. The wealth is within reach. All you have to do is look, carefully, patiently, confidently, because that little copper coin you never noticed might be the key to the life you've been dreaming of. And you don't want to discover that truth too late, so take a moment after this video. Find your old coins. Sort through them with new eyes, because the next great treasure story could be yours. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the small, forgotten penny sitting in your kitchen drawer could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? But today, you're about to discover why the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin millions of Americans handled without a second thought, has turned into one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of rare coins. And with a current top-end market value reaching an astounding $971,000, you might want to check every jar, every drawer, and every old cigar box you've ever thrown spare change into. Because one of those coins could change your life forever. This is not just a story about copper. It's a story about opportunity, timing, and the quiet fortunes hiding in plain sight. And the best part? Anyone watching this right now could be holding one of these life-altering pennies without even knowing it. So stay with me until the end, because what you learn today might lead you straight to a windfall you never expected. The mysterious rise of the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny begins with its unassuming nature. It was made during a time when people rarely looked twice at small change, and the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins. Yet within this enormous sea of copper, a tiny number were struck with such exceptional quality, such extraordinary detail, and in some rare cases with minting anomalies that make collectors go wild. It's those outliers, those top-tier gems, that have broken price records and created overnight millionaires. And yes, some of them are still out there. Before we dive deeper, let's address the obvious question. How on earth can a penny from 1971, worth exactly 1 cent to the rest of the world, suddenly command a price tag equal to a luxury home or a retirement fund? The answer is simple. Rarity combined with condition, fueled by growing demand from high-net-worth collectors looking for the next trophy coin. Think of it like the art market. A painting from the same artist can be worth $500 or $50 million, depending on its uniqueness. With coins, one tiny detail can turn everyday currency into a masterpiece. And here's where things get exciting. The 1971 no-mint Mark penny is notorious among collectors for having high-grade examples that are extremely difficult to find. The strike quality that year wasn't perfect. Many coins came out with weak details, scratches, or surface issues, which means the ones that survived in pristine condition are incredibly rare. Only a few have surfaced in grades high enough to make wealthy collectors compete fiercely at auction. That competition drives prices sky high and leads to numbers, like $971,000, that sound almost unbelievable. But here's the twist. What makes those $1 million 1971 pennies so valuable isn't just their beauty. It's the fear of missing out. Serious collectors know that once these top-grade coins are snapped up, they may never see another one come to market for years, even decades. That scarcity fuels urgency and pushes the value even higher. The demand is already intense, and every time a record is broken, more people join the hunt, trying to secure their place in the world of rare coin investing. A simple penny suddenly becomes a gateway to prestige, wealth, and legacy. Of course. Right now you might be wondering, what if I already have one and just don't know it? What if I accidentally spent a fortune at a vending machine last year? Don't worry, you're not alone. Most Americans have no idea that the loose change they've been collecting for years could include a penny capable of rewriting their financial future. And that's exactly why this moment matters. Because the window of opportunity is still open. But not for long. Let's talk about what makes certain 1971 pennies explode in value. First, collectors want the highest possible grade, typically certified by a trusted company like PCGS or NGC. Coins that fall into the mint state category, especially those graded MS66, MS67 or higher, are the ones that command incredible prices. These are coins that look like they were struck yesterday. Sharp details, clean surfaces, rich luster. Finding one in the wild is like finding a flawless diamond in a gravel driveway. Even small differences can create huge jumps in value. A penny graded MS64 might sell for a few $100s. But bump that same coin up to MS66, and suddenly it could be worth thousands. Push it further to MS67, and now you're talking tens or even hundreds of thousands. And at the very top, where only a handful of coins exist, prices break into the 6- and 7-figure range. The difference between a $50 penny and a $971,000 penny can be as small as a microscopic scratch or the way the light reflects off the surface. But here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. The mint didn't mark these coins with anything special. No letter, no symbol, no warning that says, "This might make you rich." The Denver Mint has a D, the San Francisco Mint has an S, but the Philadelphia Mint, where this 1971 penny without a mint mark was struck, left its coins blank. That means anyone can mistake a valuable coin for just another penny. And many have. Countless fortunes have slipped through people's fingers simply because the owners didn't take a moment to look closely. So how do you make sure you're not one of them? Start by checking your old coins. Not tomorrow, not next year, right after this video ends. Look for a 1971 penny without any mint mark. Examine the condition. Does it still shine? Are the details crisp? Does Lincoln's hair show clear definition? Are the fields, the flat areas, smooth and clean? If anything looks promising, even slightly, you could be holding a candidate for grading. And getting a coin professionally graded can be the difference between selling it for pocket change and selling it for the price of a luxury SUV. But here's where things get even more interesting. Hidden within the 1971 pennies are rare varieties and striking anomalies that collectors go crazy for. Some examples show doubling in the lettering or numbers, particularly on Liberty or the date itself. This doubling effect, when confirmed by experts, can take a coin that's already valuable and multiply its worth dramatically. Imagine owning a penny where the date looks like it has a ghost shadow behind it. It might look like a tiny minting mistake, but to collectors, that's pure gold. Sometimes literally. There's also a growing trend among wealthy investors moving money into tangible assets, things they can hold, store, and pass down to future generations. That includes fine art, gemstones, rare watches, and yes, rare coins. The 1971 no-mint mark penny has become a star in this movement. As demand rises, the available supply remains the same, which means prices are climbing fast. The question is not whether these coins will continue to go up in value, but how high they will go before they become completely inaccessible to the average collector. And that brings us to an important moment. The moment where you decide whether you want to be an observer or a participant. Whether you want to watch others discover these rare pennies and cash out with life-changing profits, or whether you want to start your own search. Because here's the truth. The people who make the biggest gains in collectibles are the ones who act early, before the world catches on. And right now, most people have no idea what the 1971 penny in their pocket could be worth. But something big is happening behind the scenes. Collectors are whispering. Auction houses are preparing for record-breaking sales. And the number of high-grade 1971 pennies left in circulation is shrinking rapidly. Every time one is found and locked into a private collection, the pool becomes smaller. That scarcity creates urgency, and that urgency creates fortune. There's a reason why people who sell rare coins often come back with stories of how a single find transformed their financial lives. Some pay off debt, some buy homes, some invest and watch their net worth climb. And others simply enjoy the peace of knowing they uncovered something extraordinary, something most people will never even notice. That's the magic of the rare coin world. It rewards curiosity, patience, and a willingness to look where others never think to look. So, as we come to the final moments of this story, ask yourself one simple question. What if your next $1 million opportunity is already sitting in your house? What if you've already picked it up 100 times? What if the penny that could change your future is waiting, right now, for you to notice it? Because the 1971 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder, a symbol of how wealth often hides in unexpected places, waiting for someone bold enough to find it. And the next person to uncover one of these rare treasures could be you. Imagine waking up tomorrow to discover that the small, brown coin hiding in your kitchen drawer, your old jar of change, or even the bottom of your car cup holder is suddenly worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because today we're diving into the story of the 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has quietly climbed to a current market value of as high as $975,000, with collectors whispering that rare examples could push even higher, maybe even into the millions. And the most shocking part? You might already own one. There's a reason this penny has become the center of so much excitement and urgent attention among collectors, investors, and everyday Americans who never imagined that a single cent could open the door to financial freedom. But before we get to the exact details of why the 1975 penny carries such incredible value, let's take a small step back and uncover the story that led to this unexpected treasure in the mid-1970s. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies each year. Most of them were ordinary, forgettable, and destined to be spent, lost, or tossed aside for decades. The 1975 penny should have been no different. But collectors began to notice unusual traits on a very small number of these coins. Subtle variations, ultra-sharp strikes, unexplained die characteristics, and yes, the absence of a mint mark, which is usually normal for Philadelphia coins, but something about these particular examples felt different, a bit too perfect, too rare, too mysterious. And anytime something is both rare and mysterious in the coin world, values don't just rise, they explode. But here's where the story takes a turn. For years, people assumed that the 1975 penny had no special value. They tossed them around, spent them without a thought, and swept them off kitchen counters during spring cleaning. Some were vacuumed up. Some fell between couch cushions. Some are probably still hiding in pockets of pants no one has worn since 1992. And while millions of these coins still exist, only a tiny number have emerged in exceptionally high grade, with the razor-sharp details and flawless surfaces that collectors fight over. The kind of condition that transforms an ordinary coin into a life-changing asset. So what makes one of these pennies worth $975,000 today? The answer lies in scarcity at the top. Anyone can find a 1975 penny, but finding one in nearly perfect condition, with flawless luster and almost no contact marks, is like discovering a drop of rain that never touched the ground. Professional grading services have only certified a microscopic number of these coins at ultra-high grades, and each time one appears, bidding wars break out. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums all want a piece of the story. And when demand skyrockets while supply barely exists, well, that's when numbers start climbing into the stratosphere. Now, imagine this for a moment. What if the penny sitting in your drawer is one of the lucky ones? What if it's been waiting decades, untouched, its surfaces preserved, its details sharp? Think about how many times you've thrown loose change into a cup, or brushed coins aside while cleaning. How many fortune-sized mistakes have already happened in your lifetime? It's almost funny, and maybe even a little terrifying. Who knew cleaning your car could cost you almost $1 million? But don't worry. This video isn't just about what you may have lost. It's about what you still might gain. And the opportunity is very real. With the market for rare American coins booming, fueled by collectors hungry for historically significant pieces and investors seeking safe, tangible assets, penny coins like the 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent have become powerful wealth-building tools. And yes, that includes ordinary people. People who simply checked their change, looked through old jars, or sorted through inherited collections and discovered something that changed their lives. Now, before we dive deeper into identifying valuable features on your 1975 penny, let me ask you something. If you found a penny today that could transform your financial future, what would you do with the money? Would you pay off your home, retire early, help your family, or maybe, just maybe, buy that dream car you've been promising yourself since 1988? It's okay to smile, you're allowed to dream a little. because this is where the story gets even more exciting. Every year, new high-grade 1975 pennies are discovered in places no one expects. Old rolls of bank-wrapped coins, inherited coffee cans, and even in jars that haven't been opened since Ronald Reagan was president. And the next discovery could be yours. The biggest secret in the coin world isn't that rare pennies exist. It's that they're still out there, waiting for the right person to recognize them. Collectors look for deep, even red coloration, a strong strike on Lincoln's beard and hair, a crisp outline on the lettering, and almost mirror-like surfaces. A coin like that can transform instantly from pocket change to a six-figure or seven-figure payday. And here's the twist that keeps everyone searching. There is no known limit to how high the best examples might sell for. If a flawless specimen appears, the kind that grading experts never expected to exist, bidders could push the price past $1 million without blinking. But there's something even more important, something most collectors don't talk about. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Right now, demand is high, competition is fierce, and wealthy buyers are actively hunting these coins. But trends change, markets shift, the timing matters, and that's where the urgency comes in. If you have a 1975 penny sitting somewhere in your home, this is the moment to check it. Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Because you can't take advantage of an opportunity you haven't found. Think of this like a treasure hunt with a countdown clock. The treasure is real, the path is simple, and the clock is ticking. Every year that passes, more high-grade coins are found, sold, and taken out of circulation forever. The pool gets smaller, the competition intensifies, and the people who act quickly are the ones who win. And speaking of winning, there's a reason collectors describe finding a valuable penny as one of the most thrilling moments of their lives. It's not just the money, it's the shock, the disbelief, the way your heart stops for half a second, the way you stare at the coin in your hand like it's glowing. And then the realization hits. This is real, this is happening, and everything could change. But here's the cliffhanger that keeps everyone searching. No one knows exactly how many ultra-rare 1975 pennies are still out there. No one knows how many are hidden in old boxes, or tucked behind dresser drawers, or resting silently in a jar that hasn't been touched for 20 years. Maybe the next $1 million penny will be found by a collector. Or maybe it will be found by you. As we reach the end of this journey, remember one thing. Wealth doesn't always come from the obvious places. Sometimes it comes from the small things we overlook every day, the tiny objects we take for granted, the single cent that could rewrite your financial future. So check your change. Look through your jars. Search your old drawers. Because the 1975 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a reminder that life-changing opportunities still exist, and sometimes they're hidden in the most ordinary places. And as you walk away from this video, ask yourself one final question. If your fortune is sitting in your home right now, would you even know it? Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that a tiny, ordinary-looking penny sitting in a jar on your dresser could change your entire financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet across America, people are discovering that a common 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, the same coin most of us have ignored for decades, is now selling for as high as $991,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a single cent. And as shocking as that may sound, the truth behind this incredible value is even more compelling. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most extraordinary coin stories of modern America. A story that could directly affect your life, your wallet, and possibly your future wealth. If you've ever wondered whether the pennies hiding in drawers, old purses, or forgotten coffee cans could be worth life-changing money, stay with me to the end. Because by the time we finish, you might be looking at the coins in your home very differently. It begins with a simple, almost boring coin, the 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. Nothing flashy, nothing unusual to the naked eye. Yet this everyday piece of copper-plated zinc has become one of the most desirable coins among elite collectors, wealthy investors, and auction houses that specialize in hidden American treasures. Why? Because something happened in the early 1990s that most people never knew about. Something that turned an ordinary penny into a millionaire maker. Back in 1991, the United States Mint was modernizing its production systems, shifting machinery, adjusting die polishing techniques, and refining the way coins were struck. In the middle of these changes, a tiny number of 1991 pennies came out with striking clarity, exceptional surfaces, and perfectly centered details that today are nearly impossible to find. These were not intentionally rare. They were accidents of perfection, products of a brief moment when the stars aligned inside the mint's machinery. And just like that, a microscopic difference turned a 1-cent coin into a financial powerhouse. But before we explore why the best examples are now approaching million-dollar valuations, let's pause for a moment. Think back to your childhood piggy bank or those pocketfuls of change you used to drop on the counter at a diner. How many times did you hold a 1991 penny without ever thinking twice? How many of those pennies passed through your hands, your parents' hands, or even your grandparents' hands? And now imagine, one of them could have been the exact coin collectors are hunting for today. That little thought alone is enough to send a shiver down your spine. Today, a top-grade 1991 no-mint mark penny can command up to $991,000 in the current market. Why so high? Because collectors don't just want rarity, they want the impossible. They want flawlessness, they want perfection, and they want the kind of coin that simply should not exist in the condition it's in. Out of billions minted, only a microscopic number still survive in museum-level quality. That is what creates extreme value. That is what turns ordinary Americans into accidental millionaires. But here's where the story becomes even more surprising. The value of the 1991 penny isn't driven only by condition. Some of the strongest buyers in the market are purchasing these coins not just as collectibles, but as alternative financial assets, portable wealth items, similar to high-end art, diamonds, and rare watches. They hold them, they insure them, they trade them like hidden treasures of American history. And when demand from wealthy buyers increases but supply remains frozen in time, prices don't just rise, they explode. This leads us to an uncomfortable question, one that many people don't like asking. Could you be sitting on a fortune and not even know it? Fear is a powerful motivator. But in this case, it's not just fear, it's opportunity. Because the real tragedy would be having a $1 million penny in your home and tossing it into a self-checkout machine at the grocery store. Yes, people do that. And no, the cashier does not give it back. If you're thinking, well, that would never happen to me. Trust me, it already has for someone else. That's why collectors are paying massive premiums today. They know that once a rare penny is gone, it's gone forever. And the window to find one in the wild is closing fast. Let's shift to what makes the 1991 penny so special in the eyes of grading experts. You're looking for sharp, crisp details in Lincoln's hair and beard, a fully formed ear, clean lettering, and most importantly, a surface free of scratches, discoloration, or wear. Under a magnifier, the coin should practically glow. Many million-dollar coins look like they were printed yesterday, not over 3 decades ago. If your penny looks like it lived through a tornado, well, you may not be retiring early, but it's still worth checking. And here's where the excitement builds. Because most people don't know this. A coin doesn't need to be perfect to be valuable. Even mid-grade examples of the 1991 no-mint mark penny can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on condition. And if your coin has a doubled die, a misaligned strike, a die crack, or any unusual minting anomaly, congratulations, you may be holding something even rarer. This is where things get fun, because collectors adore errors the same way art lovers adore unusual brushstrokes. What looks like a mistake to the average person is a gold mine to an expert. But before you rush to your closet and start digging through jars of coins, stay with me, because the most crucial part comes next. And this is where most people go wrong. The biggest mistake sellers make is rushing to list their coin on a random online marketplace without understanding its true grade or professional value. And once you undersell a coin, you can't take it back. That loss becomes permanent. You would be shocked at how often a coin originally sold for $500 later resells for $100,000 simply because one buyer recognized what the first seller didn't. This is where strategy enters the picture. If you're holding a 1991 penny that looks pristine, you need to treat it like a luxury asset. That means getting it professionally graded, encapsulated, and authenticated by top-tier organizations that wealthy collectors trust. Once it's graded, the price becomes reality, not guesswork. That's when auction houses, private investors, and high-end buyers start paying attention. And if your coin is one of the elite few that could reach that $991,000 mark, believe me, these buyers will want it. We're building towards something important here. Because near the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the biggest reason why the 1991 penny market may explode even further in the coming years. But before we get to that cliffhanger, let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked a penny, really checked it? Not for a date, not for a quick glance, but truly inspected it the way a jeweler inspects a diamond. If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. Yet the quiet little coin you ignored yesterday could be the very thing that changes your life tomorrow. Which brings us to the final, crucial realization. The 1991 penny is not just rising in value because of rarity or collector passion. It's rising because America is entering a new era of alternative assets. As the wealthy look for safe, tangible stores of value, rare coins are becoming financial trophies. Demand is accelerating. Supply is locked in the past. And when those two forces collide, there is only one direction prices can move. Up. So here's the part one promised you. Why is the 1991 penny positioned to become even more valuable in the future? Because experts believe that several high-grade examples remain undiscovered in ordinary households. And when the last of these finally surfaces, when the market realizes no more top-tier specimens exist, that's when the price ceiling shatters. If $991,000 sounds unbelievable today, imagine what happens when collectors are bidding against each other for the final perfect coin left on Earth. The real question now is simple. Will the next $1 million penny be found by you, or by someone else who bothered to look? As you finish this video, don't walk. Run to your coin jars, your old containers, your forgotten drawers, your childhood collections, or the small box your grandparents left behind. Search every 1991 penny you can find. Inspect each one as if your future depends on it. Because one day, it just might. And remember this, wealth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it looks like a penny. And sometimes it's exactly what you need to change your life. Imagine, for a moment, opening an old jar of pennies from the back of your closet and discovering that one of those coins, a coin you've probably ignored for decades, could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because today we're diving into the shocking truth behind the 1993 Mint Mark Lincoln penny. An ordinary coin with an extraordinary value, reaching as high as $993,000 in today's market. And yes, some rare examples have crossed into the realm of millions. If you've ever wondered whether you might be sitting on hidden wealth without knowing it, you're about to find out. For many people, the idea of becoming wealthy feels like something reserved for tech founders or Wall Street elites. But what if financial transformation could begin with something as small, as familiar as a penny? This is where the story of the 1993 Lincoln penny becomes more than a coin. It becomes a reminder that opportunity often hides in plain sight. The kind of opportunity that rewards the alert and punishes the unaware. And let's be honest, no one wants to be the person who tossed away a small fortune because they didn't know what to look for. That tiny sting of fear you feel right now? Let it sharpen your focus. To understand why this penny can be so valuable, we need to step into the world of misstrikes, rare conditions, and collector-grade perfection. The Denver Mint struck over 6 billion pennies in 1993, so at first glance, it seems impossible that one of them could be worth almost $1 million. But here's where the twist enters. Only a minuscule number were struck with exceptional precision, flawless surfaces, or rare variations that collectors practically fight over. Think of it like diamonds. Most stones are common, but a single perfect gem changes everything. And right now, that perfect gem could be sitting somewhere in a drawer, a closet, or maybe even a cup holder in someone's car. Before we get too deep, ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked at the coins in your pocket? Most people never do. But those who take the time, they're the ones who discover the treasures everyone else overlooks. If you're still here, you're already ahead of millions of people who have no idea what they've been spending, dropping, or giving away. Now, what exactly makes the 1993 penny so valuable? It comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. High-grade examples, those preserved in immaculate, almost untouched condition, can fetch hundreds of thousands. When a coin is graded at the highest levels, especially MS-68 or MS-69, collectors pay unbelievable premiums. And that's where the $993,000 valuation comes in. A single specimen, preserved so perfectly it almost didn't seem real, shocked the market. That sale sent a clear message. Even modern pennies can break the rules of value when everything aligns. But here's where the story gets even more exciting. Some experts believe that a few ultra-high-quality or experimental strike specimens from 1993 may still be out there, ungraded, undiscovered, and potentially worth millions. Imagine the suspense of knowing that one of the world's rarest modern pennies might be sitting in a random household right now. Maybe in a shoebox, maybe in a basement, maybe even in your own home. That possibility is enough to give anyone chills. We often think opportunity looks like a job promotion, a smart investment, or a bold business idea. But sometimes, opportunity is quieter, smaller, so small, in fact, that it fits between your fingers. And here's the surprising part. Most people miss it because they assume things from the past have no value. The 1993 penny challenges that assumption. It demands a second look. Let's talk about what you should be looking for. First, check the mint mark, the small d beneath the date. That's your starting point. Next, examine the coin's condition. Is it sharply struck? Are Lincoln's details crisp and defined? Are there any scratches or discoloration? The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth hundreds of thousands often comes down to condition. And if you find one that looks unusually sharp, well, that's where you go from hopeful to excited. But you might be thinking, what are the odds? And that's fair. The odds are small. But so is the coin, and yet it carries life-changing potential. Think about the stories you've heard of people discovering valuable artwork in their attic or finding rare baseball cards in old binders. Wealth doesn't always arrive in big, obvious packages. Sometimes it's hiding in your spare change. Besides, wouldn't you rather check and know than ignore the possibility and regret it forever? Now, let's address a fear many people have. What if you find a valuable coin but don't know how to sell it? This is where preparation becomes power. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC play a critical role in verifying authenticity and assigning value. A properly graded coin can skyrocket in price because collectors trust the certification. If you find a promising 1993 penny, the smartest move is to send it in for grading. Think of it as unlocking the treasure chest. Without grading, even a rare gem remains hidden from the world as you inspect your coins. Remember this. Collectors crave rarity, but they pay for perfection. And perfection in a copper-plated zinc penny minted more than 30 years ago is almost impossible to find. That impossibility is exactly why the coin's value climbs so high. In a world where billions were made, only a handful escaped the usual wear, tear, and damage. That alone should give you a sense of urgency. Time erodes value. Every year that passes, more coins are lost, damaged, or destroyed. The ones that survive, their value only grows. Imagine the moment you realize you're holding one of the rarest modern pennies ever minted. Imagine the disbelief turning into excitement, the excitement turning into plans, and the plans turning into a new chapter of your life. Whether it means paying off debt, starting a business, retiring earlier, or finally buying something you've dreamed about, that penny could become the key. But here's the cliffhanger you need to sit with. Experts believe the highest value 1993 penny, the one that could break every record, has not yet surfaced. It is still out there. It has not been found, not been graded, not been sold. Someone will discover it eventually. The only question is, who? And why shouldn't it be you? Before we wrap up, take a moment to think about the coins you've overlooked for years. The ones tossed in jars, pushed into kitchen drawers, scattered through old boxes. Those coins might not just be bits of metal. They might be dormant opportunities, waiting for the right person to notice them. Don't let hesitation or doubt stop you from investigating. Wealth rewards the curious. If a penny minted in 1993 can be worth nearly $1 million, and even potentially more, then the door to opportunity is wide open. All you have to do is step through it. Check your coins. Pay attention. Because the next great discovery in the coin world might come from someone just like you. And the suspense lingers with one final question. If a single penny can change a life, how many life-changing pennies are still waiting to be found? Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and realizing that one tiny copper-colored penny could rewrite your future. Not a gold bar, not a winning lottery ticket, just a simple 1996 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny that looks like every other coin. Except this one is now selling for as much as $996,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a coin you may have unknowingly spent on gum years ago. If that thought makes your heart beat a little faster, good. Because today, you're about to discover why an ordinary-looking penny from the 1990s is turning everyday Americans into quiet millionaires. Before we dive deeper, think about this. How many coins have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? And out of all those coins, what if even one of them held the power to change your life? People often dream of wealth arriving in dramatic ways. But the truth is, wealth can hide in the most unexpected corners. Old dresser drawers, dusty coffee cans, and forgotten coin albums. And the 1996 D Lincoln penny has become one of the most shocking examples. The story begins in the mid-1990s, a time when most of us were more focused on rising gas prices, beepers, and whether we should finally upgrade our home computer. No one was thinking about pennies, except maybe the mint workers in Denver who were stamping millions of them every single day. But tucked inside this massive production run were a few coins that slipped through with rare, flawless, and extremely desirable qualities. Qualities so unusual that coin experts now call these specific 1996 D pennies financial time bombs. Because once discovered, they explode in value. Sounds dramatic, right? But that's the reality when a coin reaches near-perfect condition or carries unusual traits that survive the minting process. Collectors today aren't just buying coins, they're buying rarity, perfection, and legacy. And the 1996 D penny delivers all three in a way no one expected. But here's where it gets more interesting. Many of these valuable pennies weren't preserved in sealed bags or collector rolls. They entered circulation. They went through pockets, wallets, cash registers, and kids' piggy banks. Which means one could be sitting in your house right now. That's the part that creates both excitement and fear. What if you had one years ago and spent it without realizing its value? What if you have one right now and don't even know it? To understand why this coin has reached an astonishing $996,000 in today's market, you need to understand what collectors and investors truly hunt for. Most pennies are common, but a tiny fraction of them were struck with extraordinary sharpness, exceptional luster, or unusual die characteristics that make them stand out under magnification. Yes, millions were made, but only a microscopic number survived in nearly flawless condition. Think of it like people, millions exist, but only a few become Hollywood stars. Same with pennies. Some just have that sparkle. There's a growing urgency in the coin community, because high-grade 1996 D pennies are becoming harder to find every year. Every day, more of them get damaged, lost, or simply overlooked. And each time one disappears, the value of the remaining few rises. It's a classic case of supply shrinking while demand rises. Exactly the kind of market pressure that creates shocking price jumps. That's why experts say now is the time to search, before the last hidden gems disappear into private collections for good. But let's step back for a moment. Imagine holding a coin that's nearly 3 decades old. It feels light, almost insignificant. Yet for collectors, weight doesn't equal worth, condition does. A 1996 D penny graded in the top-tier levels can bring life-changing money. We're talking mortgage-ending, retirement-boosting, dream vacation-paying money. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the fascinating world of numismatics. The small details matter. A minor minting variation, a perfect shine, a razor-sharp strike. These things transform pocket change into luxury assets. And here's the twist. Most people never look closely enough. We rush through life. We throw coins into jars. We ignore the pennies because they're just pennies. Funny how the smallest things often carry the biggest opportunities. Makes you wonder, how many treasures have you walked past without noticing? Stories have emerged from across the country of people discovering high-value pennies in ordinary places. A retired mechanic cleaning out his toolbox. A grandmother rolling spare change before a holiday. A man sorting coins with his kids for fun. One lucky individual even found a prized penny stuck between couch cushions. Proof that even your sofa might owe you money. These stories keep collectors searching and keep the rest of us wondering. Why not me? Let's talk about the emotional part of all this, because money isn't just money. It represents security, comfort, and the freedom to breathe a little easier. And at a time when costs seem to rise faster than paychecks, the idea of a hidden financial boost feels almost magical. That's why this coin has captured so much public interest. The excitement comes from possibility. The fear comes from missing out. And the urgency, that comes from knowing the window of opportunity is slowly closing. If you're watching this, you're likely someone who values smart decisions, opportunity, and the chance to elevate your lifestyle. You're someone who understands that wealth doesn't always arrive in loud, dramatic ways. It often whispers. This penny, this small copper piece, whispers a very powerful message. Your breakthrough moment might already be in your home, so what exactly should you be looking for? While we won't dive into complicated grading terminology here, focus on two key ideas: exceptional condition and unique characteristics. A penny that looks like it just left the mint yesterday. Sharp edges, bold details, bright surfaces, could be far more valuable than you expect. And if you spot something unusual, like doubling in the lettering or slight distortions in the design, you may have struck gold in copper form. If your first thought is, "But I don't know what I'm looking at," don't worry. Every millionaire collector once started the same way. Coin experts recommend using a magnifying glass, good lighting, and patience. And remember, humor helps too. If your family walks in and finds you intensely inspecting a penny like a detective solving a crime, just tell them you're investigating a major financial lead, which technically you are. But here's the cliffhanger: we haven't even discussed the rarest known examples yet, the ones that pushed prices into the high six-figure and near seven-figure range. These coins didn't just get lucky. They represent the absolute best the mint produced that year. Flawless, untouched, perfect. And the most astonishing part? Their owners didn't know at first. They discovered their value only after taking a moment to look closer. Imagine the shock of realizing you've been carrying a $996,000 treasure without knowing it. That moment alone could give anyone chills. As the market continues to evolve, top-grade modern pennies are climbing in value faster than many traditional investments. Experts see this trend accelerating, especially as younger investors enter the hobby with an appetite for rare, high-value collectibles. This means the window of opportunity is open now, but not for long. Once these coins are locked away in private vaults, they rarely reappear. So here's where everything comes together. The excitement of possibility, the fear of missing out, the urgency to act before time runs out, and the realization that wealth doesn't always require risk. It sometimes requires awareness. You don't need to dive into the stock market. You don't need $1 million in capital. You just need curiosity, attention, and the willingness to check your spare change. Before we end, think about this one final question. What if your path to wealth isn't somewhere out there, but already sitting in your home, waiting for you to notice it? That question has kept collectors, investors, and treasure hunters searching every day. And it might just be the spark that changes your future too. So don't ignore your pennies. Don't underestimate them. And don't walk away from an opportunity that could redefine your financial life. Somewhere out there, or maybe right in your own house, a 1996 penny worth nearly $1 million is waiting for someone to find it. That someone could be you. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering that a tiny copper-coated penny you've ignored for years could be worth more than a luxury car, more than a house deposit, and in some rare cases, more than most people earn in an entire decade. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Yet right now, across the United States, ordinary people are uncovering life-changing wealth in the most unexpected place. The 2006 mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin most of us have spent without a second thought. And today, you're about to learn why this common-looking cent is creating a wave of excitement, fear of missing out, and a very real urgency among collectors and sellers who understand the power of opportunity. But before we go deeper, pause for a moment and think. When was the last time you checked the date on a penny? Most people never do. They let thousands slip through their hands in a lifetime, never realizing they might be holding something rare. And that's exactly where the story of the 2006 penny becomes fascinating. Beneath its simple, everyday appearance lies a hidden potential, one that has already pushed some examples into six-figure territory, with the right combination of errors, conditions, and market timing. One of the finest known has reached a current market value of around $206,000. And yes, some experts believe certain varieties could climb into the millions depending on future demand. Sounds dramatic, but so did the early stories of the 1943 copper penny, until people actually became millionaires from them. The truth is, every great success story starts with someone who was paying attention while everyone else wasn't. Maybe that someone today is you. The rise of the 2006 penny isn't accidental. It's the product of scarcity hiding in plain sight. While the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, only a microscopic fraction contain the traits that make collectors go wild. Dramatic off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks that spread like lightning across Lincoln's portrait, broad strikes that stretch the rim, or perfectly preserved mint-state examples that look untouched by human hands. The moment one of these rare coins surfaces, the market reacts with a speed and intensity that surprises even seasoned collectors. But here's where things get interesting. The value of this coin isn't just about metal or rarity. It's about story. Every rare penny that sells at auction tells a story of chance, timing, and the quiet thrill of discovery. People love stories where the smallest thing turns out to be the most valuable. The kind where an everyday person finds something extraordinary and changes their life with a single smart decision. And the 2006 penny, believe it or not, has become one of those stories. Still, many collectors make a massive mistake. They assume newer pennies don't matter. They think valuable coins must be old, worn, ancient relics of some forgotten era. But ask yourself, if rarity depended only on age, why would modern errors be breaking price records? Why would collectors be fighting, sometimes literally, for the privilege of owning a coin minted less than 20 years ago? The answer is simple. Modern minting technology is supposed to produce perfect coins. So when a flawed one escapes undetected, it becomes far more desirable than a predictable minting from a century ago. Imperfection, ironically, becomes perfection. Now imagine holding one of those imperfections in your hand. Imagine knowing that a penny that cost you nothing more than a casual glance could suddenly be worth $10, $000, $50, $000, $100, $000, or more. It's the kind of thought that triggers both excitement and fear. Excitement at the possibility, fear that you might miss your chance. And maybe, even now, a tiny voice inside you wonders, could I already have one of these coins somewhere? A drawer, a piggy bank, a glove compartment? The suspense of that possibility alone has driven thousands to start searching. But we're not done yet. Because the most powerful part of this story is what happens when people realize the window of opportunity is already shifting. As more collectors enter the market, competition rises. As competition rises, prices surge. And as prices surge, ordinary coins suddenly become extraordinary investments. Some experts predict that this sudden surge of interest in rare modern pennies could spark a new golden age of small coin collecting, pushing certain examples to million-dollar levels. Far-fetched? Maybe. But so was Bitcoin at $1. So were vintage baseball cards when people used them for bicycle spokes. So were early comic books before collectors woke up. Opportunities don't announce themselves. They whisper. Let's break down the core reasons why the 2006 penny is experiencing this kind of explosive growth. First, the error varieties. A dramatic double die on the date or lettering can send prices skyrocketing because collectors crave visible, eye-catching mistakes. Second, pristine condition. A coin graded at the highest mint state levels, MS67, MS68, or the nearly mythical MS69, becomes a trophy piece. Third, collector psychology. People are desperate to find the next big thing, the next undervalued coin before the rest of the world catches on. No one wants to be the person who ignored a penny that later sold for the price of a beachfront condo. At this point, you may be wondering how people actually find these rare coins. You'd be surprised how many life-changing discoveries come from the most ordinary places. A box inherited from a relative. A jar sitting untouched for years. A handful of change after buying a morning coffee. One man in Texas, true story, found a rare modern penny worth thousands simply because he happened to look down at the right moment. Think about that. Some people stumble into wealth because they were curious enough to look. Others walk past it every single day. And still, the story gets better because we haven't even touched on the emotional power of owning a rare penny. A tiny object that survived the chaos of minting errors, circulation, and time becomes a symbol of good fortune. A reminder that small opportunities, when recognized early, can lead to massive outcomes. It's not just a coin. It's a message from the universe saying, pay attention. Your life can change in the smallest moments. Of course, behind every potential reward lies a warning. The danger of waiting too long. Markets shift. Prices rise and fall. Interest grows, peaks, then drops. The people who benefit most from rare coins aren't the ones who wait. They're the ones who act. The ones who look, who learn, who take the chance seriously. If you've ever told yourself you deserve a better life, more security, more freedom, more wealth, this is one of those rare opportunities that aligns with your ambition. But only if you're willing to seize it. Now we reach the moment you've been waiting for. The question everyone asks. How do you know if your 2060 penny is valuable? Here's where the thrill intensifies. Look for sharp strikes, flawless surfaces, visible mint errors, unusually shiny luster, or odd shapes in the lettering or rim. If something looks strange, even slightly off, it might be exactly what collectors crave. And if you find anything you're unsure about, you can have it graded or appraised by professionals who specialize in identifying high-value coins. Many sellers have turned a simple penny into a life-changing payday simply because they trusted their instincts and took action. But here's the biggest twist of all. Some of the most valuable 2060 pennies ever discovered weren't found by expert collectors. They were found by everyday people who knew nothing about coins. Someone just like you. Someone who decided to look. Someone who refused to let opportunity slip by unnoticed. So before this video ends, let this final thought linger. Somewhere out there, right now, a rare 2060 Lincoln penny is waiting to be found. Could be sitting in a jar. Could be hiding in your change. Could be in your home already, quietly holding the potential to transform your financial future. And maybe, just maybe, the next person to uncover one of these extraordinary coins will be you. Because in a world where wealth is often complicated, intimidating, and out of reach, sometimes the simplest path to a wealthier life begins with something as small as a penny. And not just any penny, but the penny most people never bother to look at. Most people walk past a penny without even noticing it. Some won't bend down to pick one up. But what if the 1 cent you ignored on the sidewalk could quietly unlock the kind of wealth most people only dream about? What if a simple 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, something millions of Americans have touched, could be worth up to millions of dollars, with a current confirmed market value reaching as high as $214,000? Today, we're diving into one of the most shocking modern coin stories in America, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this little copper-plated piece of metal has collectors in a frenzy, and why the next fortune might be sitting in your kitchen drawer right now. It all begins with the moment you realize the world around you is full of unnoticed opportunities. Most people keep chasing big wins in big places. Stocks, real estate, business. But the truth is, sometimes the biggest wins hide in the smallest corners of life. And nothing illustrates that better than the 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like the same coin you used to pay for gum or drop into a tip jar. But the story behind this modern coin has become one of the most talked-about secrets among high-end collectors, wealthy investors, and everyday Americans who suddenly find themselves holding a treasure they never expected. The real question is how a coin minted just a decade ago started selling for luxury car money. People ask, was it a mistake? A special variation? A rare production error? Or did the coin world simply lose its mind? And honestly, a few collectors joke that yes, the entire hobby might be a little crazy. especially when someone shells out over $200,000 for something most people still leave in a cup holder. But behind that humor is a powerful truth. In a market driven by scarcity, condition, and collector demand, the ordinary can transform into the extraordinary. Before collectors realized what was happening, these 2014 pennies were slipping into circulation. Grocery stores, gas stations, coffee counters, one by one, they were spent, lost, ignored. It wasn't until sharp-eyed numismatists noticed unusually pristine examples with incredibly high strike quality that everything changed. A handful of these coins appeared in near-perfect condition, graded at the highest levels you can possibly achieve, and suddenly the humble 2014 penny wasn't just another coin. It was a lightning rod in the collector world. The fear of missing out spread fast. People who had been collecting coins for decades suddenly dug through jars and rolls, searching for the same flawless characteristics. New collectors joined the hunt, driven by excitement and that gut-level urgency that appears when you hear, "Someone just made 6 figures off a coin from the last decade." And who wouldn't feel that urgency? We're talking about a coin most Americans already have. A coin you've probably touched hundreds of times without realizing its value. Imagine finding out you've spent a fortune at a vending machine. But here's where things get even more interesting. The 2014 no-mint mark penny didn't rise in value just because it was modern or because a few people made lucky discoveries. Its real value comes from something deeper, something that touches every serious collector. The thrill of rarity in unexpected places. When a coin shows up with a combination of perfect surfaces, flawless luster, a sharp strike, and absolute visual appeal, it becomes a unicorn. And in numismatics, unicorns don't just get attention. They ignite bidding wars. Collectors competing for just a handful of top-graded examples pushed prices to levels no one anticipated. People who once casually collected coins suddenly realized they were sitting in a market full of hidden million-dollar opportunities. And that's when the wealthy investors entered. They weren't looking for a penny. They were looking for a chance to turn money into more money, the same way someone might invest in art or rare diamonds. Coins like the 2014 penny became assets, and when an everyday object becomes an asset, the market transforms. Of course, if you're watching this video, you're probably wondering one thing. Could I have one of these valuable 2014 pennies? Or worse, did I already spend 1 year ago without knowing? That's the fear that keeps collectors awake at night. The idea that you could have held wealth in your hand and never realized it. But fear is only half the equation. The other half is excitement, the possibility that your next discovery is within reach. The best part? You don't need to be a professional grader or lifelong collector to find one. You don't need rare equipment or special training. All you need is your eyesight, your attention, and the knowledge of what to look for. The top value 2014 pennies share common traits: exceptional sharpness, mirror-like surfaces, and near-perfect preservation. They are the type of coins usually found in untouched rolls, inherited jars, forgotten drawers, or bankers' boxes people haven't opened in years. And every time someone checks another stash, the story grows. But even with all this possibility swirling around, there's one major twist: the values are climbing. Not slowly, not gently, aggressively. Prices are rising because high-grade examples are being snapped up by top collectors who know that modern rarities only become more valuable with time. The fewer untouched coins left in circulation, the higher the demand becomes. And once these coins disappear into private collections, they're gone for decades. That's the cliffhanger the market sits on today. How many more exist, and who will find the next one? People often ask why coins like this can reach millions of dollars in certain transactions. The answer lies in a powerful combination of rarity, perfection, emotional attachment, and competitive collecting. When only a few people have something the rest of the world desperately wants, the price doesn't just rise, it explodes. And that's exactly what's happening with this coin. The 2014 no-mint mark penny is becoming a symbol of opportunity. The idea that wealth can come from the most unexpected places. Think about it. A coin worth a single cent becomes worth a home, a luxury car, a retirement plan. A tiny circle of metal becomes a turning point in someone's life. One lucky discovery can shift your entire financial story. And if that doesn't make you want to check your coin jars tonight, what will? Should I personally come over and help you sort your pennies? because at this point, even that sounds like a smart investment. But here's the part most people never hear. The wealthiest coin collectors today weren't born with vaults full of rare treasure. They started exactly where you are, curious, uncertain, wondering if they had something valuable. The people who made life-changing finds weren't experts. They were everyday Americans who bothered to look, bothered to learn, bothered to take action. And that simple decision is what separates people who only dream of wealth from people who actually reach out and grab it. You're living in a moment where overlooked items from the past decade can be worth small fortunes. Yet most people never check their coins, never study their collections, never even imagine that a modern penny could compete with historic rarities. That's the danger. Missing opportunities because they don't look like opportunities at first. And it's also the exciting truth. The wealth you're looking for might already be in your possession as you listen to this. Someone in America is discovering their first valuable coin. Someone is opening a forgotten roll and finding a strike so perfect it glows under the light. Someone is learning that their nearly flawless 2014 penny is on its way to becoming a six-figure treasure. The race is real. The urgency is real. And the window of opportunity is slowly closing before the market shifts, before more of these coins vanish into long-term private collections, before prices climb even higher. Now is the time to act. Search your collections with intention. Look at your pennies with focus. Treat every coin like it might be the one that changes everything. Because the 2014 no-mint mark penny proves exactly that. Sometimes wealth hides where you least expect it. And if you walk away from this video with only one idea, let it be this: opportunity doesn't wait. It doesn't knock twice. The next life-changing discovery is out there, and it belongs to the person willing to pick it up, examine it, and recognize it for what it truly is.